Hello everybody and welcome back to another Kings of War Battle Report. I'm Visibly Riley, and today we have Nightstalkers versus Sylvan Kin again. This battle was fought at 2300 points and the scenario was Invade. Now before I get into the game itself, I'd like to announce that I am running a tournament on August 21st through the 23rd on Universal Battle 2. Lists are due by August 7th, which is written up there. It's going to be 2,300 points. There's going to be a special character for it. It's 5 rounds, and it will be run in the Bug Eater style, so there'll be a game on Friday, and then 6-hour periods to play 2 games on both Saturday and Sunday. So that's the idea right now. I have a pack ready to go, but unfortunately, I couldn't get War Score to work, so it's being a bit of a pain right now, and I need that to work before I can fully put out the scenario pack as well. But yeah, there will be an event held on Universal Battle 2, August 21st through the 23rd. So if you're interested, feel free to, drop a comment below, and I'll make sure to get you on the list first. There will be no entry fee. So mostly because there's no prizes. I did have prizes. This was going to be a live tournament, of course, in late August, but due to the global pandemic and America's terrible handling of it, that will not be happening. So instead, I'm just going to do it online and open it to all of you. And to do that, I had to make it free and remove any prize support. Although, maybe I will personally do something. Who knows? We'll see. You'll have to show up to find out, I guess. But with that said, let's get into the list. So first off, we have my opponent's Sylvan Kin list. It is the exact same one I played in the previous week because I thought it was a little weird. I had a scheduled game, and it's the same person I was supposed to play last week. They showed up and then left again, right? And I'm not saying that there's not a lot of stuff, to do in your life and that we're all kind of stuck indoors and, it's nice to be able to leave and get in. But, if you're going to show up for a game night, why would you show up and then leave, right? We're in the middle of a global pandemic and specifically a very bad one in the States. So why do that? But anyway, I don't personally speak for everyone, obviously. But let's get through the army I did play, which opens with a horde of Forest Guard with the Brew of Strength, a horde of Forest Shamblers, a regiment of Hunters of the Wild, 2 regiments of Kindred Archers, a regiment of Stormwind Cab with the Potion of the Caterpillar, a Dragon Kindred Lord, a Tree Herder with the Sacred Horn and the Wiltfather upgrade, a second Naked Tree Herder, a Forest Warden with a Loot of Insatiable Darkness, and an Elven Archmage with Conjurer Staff, Heal 4, and Lightning Bolt 5. Again, I have no idea what the last 15 points in this army is. I still don't. It's been 2 weeks. And yeah, it's a very elite army. I think it works pretty well. It's got some kinks. It definitely needs a bit more refinement because that count is just way too low. But yeah, like any elf army, it just kicks, right? It hurts a lot to play against. So if you can't deal with those tree herders, you probably lose. But anyway, let's get into the army I brought this week, which was Nightstalkers again. I opened with a regiment of Doppelgangers with the Blood of the Old King, then a horde of Butchers to follow, 2 Reaper regiments, one of whom has the J-Boots, the other has the Potion of the Caterpillar. Then I have a regiment of Scarecrows, 3 regiments of Butchers, a Void Lurker with the Pipes of Terror, 2 Planar Apparitions, a Mind Screech, and a Horror with the Inspiring Talisman, Vicious Aura, and the Banechant 2 over Lightning Bolt upgrades. This is very similar to what I ran in the US Masters. I like the list. I liked that list. I didn't like how it did, but I did like that army. I think that it needed a bit more, it needed a way to actually deliver those Reapers a bit more effectively. So the Butcher regiments do that. They're excellent for delivering punchier units. And then I don't think I needed all 3 of those Mind Screeches. It's putting all your eggs in that turn 1, turn 2 basket, because Lightning Bolt 18 or more than that is obviously excellent, but I have had several games now, with several being in the Masters, where I just rolled poorly those first 2 turns, and then you lose the game because you spent 450 points and 3 monster unlocks on that Lightning Bolt. It doesn't work. So I think 2 is fine. and getting a Void Lurker in there turns at least one of my flyers or one of my monsters into a legitimate threat. So yeah, I like this army. It still needs some tweaks, but you know, we'll see about that in the future. And let's move on to the scenario. So Invade is what we rolled up. It's very simple, which was nice because I was pretty tired that night. And yeah, anyway, I was pretty tired that night, so it's nice to not have to set up, you know, a bunch of tokens if you're going to do that. But yeah, Invade is a very simple one. You add up the total unit strength each player has with the majority of their footprint on their opponent's side of the field. That's the total number of victory points that each player scores. So the person with the most unit strength on their opponent's side of the field wins. Simple. This is sort of how it lays out. The red side is where I need to go. Green side is where my opponent needs to go. And going into the terrain. First off, we have 2 height 9 forests, pretty simple stuff. Again, I actually have, I painted a bunch of terrain and stuff too, but I just haven't been able to get it out there just yet. I'm trying to get some trees. I like the foliage trees, and I like how some of the fancier trees look, but I think I'm gonna opt in for just some very basic ones for my more snow-oriented map, just because I need it to be able to be tossed around, and I know these ones with their foliage, it's just clumping everywhere. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for some tougher trees that you like, feel free to drop them in the comments. I think I'll be doing that soon enough. Anyway, we have 2 height 9 forests, one in each deployment zone, followed by 2 height 1 pieces, I think they're supposed to be graveyards. Then we have 2 height 3 hills, 2 height 2 obstacles, and 2 height 7 impassables. Again, this is the base, you know. I think my opponent has grown to like putting the rocks next to it. I think it looks a little nicer, so I'm all for it. And so the rocks, it's you know, just the edge of the rock, while it's the entire base of the bigger rock. So anyway, let's go into deployment. So first off, we have the first regiment of my opponent's archers. I forgot to put out labels this time. We're just gonna have to deal with that. Then we have the Wiltfather right here with the plus 3 inches of aura. We have the Horde of Shamblers, and then the Forest Warden back here with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness, and the final Tree Man right there. To the right of it, we have the very, very anemic Horde of Forest Guard with the Brew of Strength. I was talking to my opponent more about this. I own a ton of these War Dancers. I don't exactly know where they are though. So he was asking if I wanted to sell them to him, and I'm like, I looked for them. I found 2, and I own a lot more than that. And he was like, well, maybe I'll just sell the ones I have and buy the newer, what were they called? The two-handed guys that they came out with in 8th Ed Warhammer. And I was like, yeah, I would much prefer that. I think these War Dancers look cool, but they don't look nearly as good as those models. They're metal, and this is like $80 or 80 plus bucks right here, because it's 8 of them, and then there's command models that go for about 10 bucks a piece. I just do that personally. Anyway, moving off to the right, we have the 2nd Regiment of Archers. Then to the far right, we have the Hunters of the Wild, the Cav, the Stormwind Cav with the Caterpillar Potion, and the big old dragon chilling out right there. So that's my opponent's army. Let's go into the Nightstalkers, starting off with what's facing off against that dragon. Oh, actually, other side of the field. This is not facing off against the dragon. This is from my left. But this is my regiment of Scarecrows. Then to the left of that, we have a horde of Butchers. To the left of that, we have my 1st regiment of Butchers, my 2nd regiment of Butchers. We have both the Reapers right here. This is the Reaper with regular Pathfinder. This is the J-Boot Reaper. Then to the right of that, we have both the Planar Apparitions right there. We have both the Mind Screeches right there. And then the Doppelgangers with the Blood of the Old King. Yeah, I forgot what it was called for a second there. And finally, yeah, just a full line shot because I was trying to get these pictures. There's my Void Lurker chilling out in the terrain. And I think I forgot to mention that is the 3rd unit or 3rd regiment of Butchers. I just put them right in front of all 3 of my regiments. So if we go back a few pictures, this is a pretty normal thing to do with your Speed 6 infantry. So if you leave a 1 inch gap between them, and then you put the unit behind, when this unit side saddles 3 inches, it makes it so this unit then has the clearance to charge past. So you line up your edge with that. And then you do the thing I just said. And then you stay an inch away. So when you go into combat, your opponent charges into you, and then you back off an inch, slide them 3 inches, and then Reapers charge instead. So just a small thing. And with that, let's go into turn 1. So turn 1 starts out with actually just showing off my opponent's Vanguard. So we've got these guys have Vanguarded forward and have run forward. And you can see some of my models have moved. That is because I forgot to take a picture. But anyway, let's talk about the elf turn. It's pretty simple. They just run forward. You can actually see 2 lines here with this. This is the Vanguarding, or Scout it's called now. So this little pod scouted forward and then moved onto the hill, while the speed element has 1 scouter and then 2 very fast elements that just run to keep this sort of pincer, right? So we've got 2 forward and 2 back. This one doesn't really matter because it's just facing off against some scarecrows. But yeah, so the center is falling back already. This is pretty classic strategy, although it's a bit inverse. So generally you want your center pushed forward and then your flanks held back, and then your center retreats and your flanks come around. It's a standard pincer maneuver. But anyway, it's gone with the inverse here, but it's still pretty good, I think. And let's go into the shooting. So the archers take aim. They actually hit with quite a few shots on my scarecrows, but only sink the 1 wound. I'm a dash 14, so there's no roll there. And that is the end of the turn for the elves. So we move into turn 1 for Nightstalkers. I do not have. I don't have any. Well, I have 1 speed element in the army, which is the Void Lurker up here. But the rest of my army is pretty much just speed 6. So I treat it as such. I create a line right here that I think will work pretty well. I've placed the planar apparition slightly forward, so there's just a bit jutting out there. Just so this unit cannot be combo charged by the hunters and by the dragon. I do make a mistake in my turn. I measured, this house was messing with my ability to measure the closest point to the closest point. So I was like, oh yeah, these guys are 9 inches away. If I wind blast them 1, you know, they'll be out of, or they're a little over 9 inches away. So if I wind blast them 1, and I left more than a 1 inch gap there, it's 1 and some change. So they'll go back, or 2 and some change. So they'll go back 1 inch and then, you know, not be able to run into me. But they would be at a charge range anyway. But I did set up a contingency plan. So these guys are not within charge range, or I think maybe, no, it's a line of sight for the cav. And then I made it so if I fail the wind blast, the planar apparition will stop a combo charge. So these 2 units cannot charge here. So instead it'll just be hunters or just be dragon. I'm okay with either. It should be fine. And then the planar apparition cannot be charged by the hunters or the cav. The dragon could charge my planar apparition, but that is a hindered charge on a dragon into an ensnare unit, right? So you're hitting me on 5s with 10 attacks, go right ahead. And you're crushing 3 against my defense 3, and I regen 4+. Terrible idea. So that's the idea there. For this side, I do back up. I place one of my Mind Screeches was able to move behind the doppelgangers, so there's no landing spot for the dragon to charge in. But the other one, I couldn't quite get it to work with where I wanted the doppels to end up. So instead, I just backed them out of charge range. So they're out of 20 here, which makes them out of range there. And that's the idea. I take my Void Lurker, and I fly 20 forward, and I pivot so I'm facing like this. Just down my opponent's line, because there's likely going to be a combat somewhere in here, right? Which I can then flank into, or my opponent can turn this, which is a very expensive center to face me, and if they don't, then I'm a big problem. So the Void Lurker is one of the best dragons in the game, just because it's cheap. It's only 270 points. It has all the offensive power, or most of the offensive power. Is Thunder 1 instead of, or Crush 2 Thunder 1 instead of Crush 3, but has most of the offensive power of another dragon. And then it also, but it's also just so cheap that it's kind of a throwaway, right? So when you get to do stuff like this, it's even better when your opponent reacts to it, because this is not even a 300 point monster. It's 270, 280 with the item I gave it. So yeah, react to it, please. I would field even more. They're a great unit, but I only have one of this model. It does have huge wings, by the way, that stick out, but they'll have to be painted separately and probably magnetized, because if I want to travel anywhere with it, those wings are not going to work. But yeah, it's pretty expensive. I don't know if I could afford or want to buy another one because of that. So unfortunately, it'll be a one Void Lurker kind of list. In my center, yeah, I just moved forward in the way I was talking about before. So these guys, I actually didn't leave an inch gap, so that could be a problem if they charge into here. Maybe I corrected this after I took the picture, but this one is also supposed to be an inch gap. Yeah, I think I've just knocked the units around a little bit. But anyway, so that's the idea in the center. This one, I'm just out of charge range of this unit, so it can't come in and do anything. And then it's out of line of, well, it's also out of range, but it's also out of line of sight for this unit because of the hill. And then I move the Butcher Horde backwards just to get out of charge range of the Wilt Father, because I can't take the Wilt Father. I mean, it might not be that bad if the Wilt Father goes in there, because it's probably not going to kill me in one round, probably not even in two, if I can get a planar reparation over there to heal it, or heal those butchers, because the Wilt Father will inspire me. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't want to deal with it. I wanted the Wilt Father, I guess, more in the center, and then be able to flank with these if I want to. So, you know, it's the classic, if you can choose to not give your opponent a charge, just don't. You know, don't tempt fate. So I don't, and I back up a little bit. And then actually off to the left, you can't see it, but the Scarecrows, actually right there. Yeah, that's the edge of their base. They've just run 8 inches towards the archers because whatever. Showing this off, I do hit the Wind Blast. I get the 1 inch, and this is when my opponent and I measure it, and it's like very obvious that he could still charge, and I'm like, well, obviously I can't measure. So yeah, I do hit the Wind Blast, but it doesn't do anything. And then I get some Lightning Bolt onto these archers, because why not? They're still Def 4 and 14-16, but if I can drop them, I'm not going to, definitely not going to drop this. I do go for a, what's it called? Mind Fog from one of my planar reparations onto this horde, because that would be a big pickup. You can see again my opponent forgot to bring their wizard down, so they're using another one of my models back there. That is the mage. But anyway, so I'm going for a lightning bolt here to get some pip damage on. In the future, I can just pop through, or getting 1 or 2 damage here now makes it so my dragon can 1-round them instead of 2-round them. So that's the idea. And then these guys with the Mind Fog, because, you know, getting a boxcar, 1 in 36 chance, I'll take it. So anyway, neither of those happen, but I do get a bit of damage, so that's good. And we move on to turn 2. So turn 2, I finally got the pictures going a bit stronger. We start off with these archers. I think they just sit in place because they don't need to move to shoot at my Scarecrows. I don't have cover because of how I place them, so it's just going to be the stealthy. Might as well just sit there and shoot at me then. In the center, yeah, my opponent goes for the multi-charge. The idea here, so the regular tree herder and the shamblers are going to go into my regiment of butchers, all of which have fallen off except for one, or maybe I took them off because the models wouldn't cooperate. But anyway, the idea here is to kill off that butcher regiment and then tank the reapers behind. But at the same time, they can pivot in ways that make it so you can't charge anything in the flank. Because I've got a lot, I've got the other butcher horde down there. So the Wilt Father is tanking them in the front, blocking the flank to these guys because I can't fit. It'll be a corner-to-corner charge otherwise, and even then it doesn't really work. So yeah, this area just moves forward to guard the flanks against my numerically superior force. You can see in the back here the the Forest Guard just move forward a little bit because why not? They pivot to deal with my Void Lurker because they do not want to get flank charged, which if we look at right here, my opponent fiddled with this quite a bit, and I was like, well, why bother, right? I mean, I didn't say anything, but you could just move this unit to force my center, right? And then put the archers in a way to make it so the flank charge is impossible in the same way that the Wilt Father did. And then, if my Void Lurker charges these archers in the flank, who cares? And you could probably just set it up so I charge you in the front, right? So I'm not sure why this happened, but it's still a front charge. This is a front charge, I guess. Trying to tempt me into charging the front of the Forest Guard. I would never do that. But, I mean, I guess I would if I got enough support, but I don't think I have it. And over here, yeah, the dragon just flies around the side here to get some shots off, probably onto my Mind Screech. The Cav are behind them. I think that this is a bit of a mistake, because now the dragon and Cav cannot combo charge anything because the Cav cannot see past the dragon. So if the dragon had been positioned just a little better, it makes it so you have a better line of sight and I have to actually deal with it, as opposed to getting... It is deeper in my army, but I can't really get away with anything that's not a Mind Screech anyway, and I can probably get away with a Mind Screech. So why bother pushing this far? You could push the dragon like here, and then the Cav can see whatever. But anyway, that's not what happens. So going for a breath attack there, yeah, wherever it's going to breathe. And then we have the hunters right there just charging into my unit of doppelgangers. Again, because I blocked the double charge, I do stop them from hitting the wall. So they're not going to be hindered. Or no, they are hindered because they are backed onto the wall anyway. That's right, because they're large enough to hit the wall. So this is a hinder charge into me. And yeah, at the end of combat, these two bruisers just delete that regiment of butchers. Yeah, that's about what you should expect. And then and also because the Wiltfather hits me with a big old bomb of Cloak of Death again. What a good roll! I love Cloak of Death. So yeah, it hits both my Reapers. It hits these butchers. Might even hit one of my heroes, but anyway. And then here, yeah, my opponent hits. This is a 4+ to hit. Hits with a ton, like 10, I think, out of 15 attacks. Does 6 wounds to me, and I'm like, whatever. But then, yeah, just rolls the 9. Actually killed me on the first roll. Rolled a boxcar, and I'm like, all right. And then rolls a 9 to back that up and wavers me, and I'm like, motherfucker, because that's really bad. I don't have anything on this right flank. I was kind of hoping, like, I treat the doppelgangers as a guided missile, right? They just go into good units like dragons, or in this case, they'll trade for hunters. That's okay. It's not the best trade, but trading for a decent unit, right? Like I love charging into Frostbane Cav or anything like that, and I just go into him, kill him, and then turn, and my opponent has lost a piece, and then still has to deal with the doppelgangers, who are relatively tough. But getting a waiver there just means that, well, they're dead. There are 2 units that can possibly charge them, either the Dragon and the Hunters of the Wild, or the Cav and the Hunters. I could block it in the same way with this, but it means I'm not doing anything with my Planar Apparition. So, stupid waivers. Should just play Undead like everyone else. And with that, we move on to turn 2 for the Nightstalkers. First off, I move... No, wait, this has to be an end of turn shot, I think. Yeah, because I definitely wouldn't just stay here in my battle line. That'd be terrible. So anyway, that's the end of turn shot. Then we move on to turn 2 Nightstalkers. Here we go. So we got the Butcher Horde going into the front of the Wiltfather. Okay. I send both the Reaper regiments into this horde of 4 Shamblers. Now, there was no way... I mean, I could have done a single charge into the tree man here, or into the tree herder, but that's pretty bad. Like, if I fail to kill the Shamblers, there's a flank charge on them, and I'm not going to chop down a tree herder in one go. There's no way to get a combo charge, like a triple charge, or anything like that, so this is how it ends up. Still, two regiments of Reapers into a horde of Shamblers. Barring some exceptionally bad dice, should chop them down pretty easily. That's 50 attacks on 3s with Crush 1 native. I have a Bane Chant down there, and they'll all have Vicious, so I'm pretty okay with it. And I have Dread chilling out right there. So the Dread goes for a heal, just removing 1 point of damage off these Reapers. I charge in with this regiment of Butchers into the horde of Forest Guard, because there's no reason to send... I couldn't see... Okay, so this unit of Butchers looks like it was the same unit that was in the center, but this one was actually right here and did the 3-inch side saddle, the crab walk over here after they used Butchers charged to back them up. They couldn't see to combo charge. If I had 3 units into this horde, I might take that. Two regiments of Butchers plus the Void Lurker plus getting a Dread over there. But with just 2, it's not worth it. Butchers are not combat units. They sink wounds for sure. That Crush 2 helps, but they don't have the volume of attacks to take down a horde. So anyway, that's what we do. Then I fly my Void Lurker back here, just facing off against everything, just making it so this is a very, very hard bit of a Sophie's choice for my opponent, where this unit has to deal with the Void Lurker, all these units have to deal with the Void Lurker. You know, everything has to deal with the Void Lurker. So, yeah, that's what you want. I try to, you know, make lemonade down here, which is, I don't care if this dragon wants to flank charge into these butchers or rear charge these butchers. There's nothing I can do about it, and I mean I could move units to block it, but it's not worth losing a Mind Screech to keep butcher regiments. So I don't mind that, because that will abandon these cav. So, and maybe even the hunters. So I'm pretty okay with it. That's fine. But what I'm not okay with is that, so I have to sit here. I do box in my doppelgangers because I'm getting ready for them to die. I do have a chance that they'll live one more round, because I could have done something with the planer. I think that this was greater than 12. But anyway, I probably should have set up both planers to go for a double heal onto the doppelgangers, but I'm like, I'm just going to set up one, just because, you know, it's like 3 heal. I'm at 6 damage, brings me down to 3. I think I'm dead anyway if these 2 units combo charge into me. So why bother? I do turn to face, so I'm facing off against the dragon and these guys, and then both of these Mind Screeches have those 2 units in their front as well. So none of the monsters here can be charged. This planar apparition is not facing like so. It just won't work with my Reapers. It's facing like that, and it's just out of 20 inches from the dragon, so it cannot be flank charged by it. Not that it could land anyway with the way things are, but there is no charge there. So yeah, I'm just going to throw the doppelgangers away. I go for the heal. I heal 1, so it's down to 5 wounds. I'm like, whatever. And with that, we go into the combat. First off, the Reapers, they do a tremendous amount of damage. It's actually a little below average, but it's still really good. And on my nerve rolls, the first one is, I don't know, pretty decent, but the second one's a boxcar, so it gets a cool picture right there. And then that is the end of the combat. So I actually sink like 4 wounds onto the Wiltfather, which I'm pretty okay with. I just keep the Reapers in a line because, again, they're out of 20 from the dragon. So whatever. These guys can't do anything because the butchers are in the way, along with my Void Lurker. Nor could they. Well, they could actually see me, I think. Maybe. But it doesn't matter. I've got these 2 units blocking their ability to pivot and fight me. So whatever. And then right now they are in the same way that my opponent was blocking their flanks. I'm doing it here as well. And I'm making it so there's no way to double charge any of these units with 2 trees. You can send the tree warden to do it, but not this and this, right? Because the butchers are actually up here because they're in base to base with the Wiltfather. So if he backs up an inch, it's just not possible to land, I don't think. Now I look at this and I'm like, oh, I see. It's because this tree herder is in this unit's flank, and then the Wiltfather, even if they back up an inch, is in this one's flank. That's why. So yeah, they cannot combo charge. They'll have to do it with the tree warden if they want to. And that's it. So I do fire some lightning bolts here. I think I lightning bolt into the dragon because, you know, a boxcar waiver would be nice. I get a couple wounds in, but I don't boxcar it. So we move on to turn 3. So turn 3 for the Sylvan Kin. As I said before, they could not manage a double charge here. So we get a Wiltfather there, we get a tree herder here, right? So both the Reapers are now fighting a tree, and then the this is a proxy. They're all proxy bases because these hills. Anyway, this tree warden just moves onto the hill. It is facing like so to cast Banechant into this combat because they don't have Thunderous anymore. So, you know, they're only wounding on 4s. A Butcher Regiment's still a dash 15, so 25 attacks on 3s with Elite, and then 4s to wound. That's like 8 or 9 wounds. That's not an assured kill. So, yeah, getting the Banechant there would help tremendously. The mage back here has actually been doing pretty well. Has already healed the archers up, so they're at full wounds, which is why the planar apparition, or not the planar apparition, the Void Lurker did not go into them. Also because this is just better, but it was not an option. And anyway, So this is a bit of a mess. These two units combo charge into my doppelgangers. Goodbye, doppelgangers. At least this is hindered. The dragon goes into the flank of the butchers. That one, I thought I had positioned it so the dragon would be landing on the wall, but I moved as far as I could. This is the max 3, so there wasn't, there I could not have done this better. But I thought when I did it, it made it so it landed on the wall. It doesn't. It's pretty clear once we put out one of my 75s there. But anyway, so that's a clean flank charge. I don't like that, but yeah. Just gonna have to deal with it. And over here, the horde of forest guard countercharge into my butcher regiment. Again, it's not that great of an odd to kill them without the Bane Chant, but they do have the Bane Chant available, so there's that. And over here, the archers decide to charge into my scarecrows. I think this is because the scarecrows had a charge. No. Why are the archers charging me? They don't. Oh, it's because I have stealthy. Right. Because I have stealthy, the archers just decide to charge. They still hit on a 5+, so it's pretty solid. I have 2 or 3 damage on me right now, and scarecrows, hit a wound, sink a wound. So they'll probably win that fight. But I just wanted the scarecrows to hold off against the archers for until the end of the game, so I can maybe swing the Mind Screeches, but I'll probably need the Mind Screeches over on the right side now that the doppelgangers, that my right flank also folded immediately due to 1 waiver. So yeah, this is okay. This is fine. This is fine. And here's how the end of the turn goes. The archers do hit and wound with quite a few. I think they sink like 4 wounds on me. I think this is at 6 now, but thankfully do not kill me in one go. Then in the center, I do lose 1 of the regiments of Reapers. That's pretty unfortunate. Let's see. So a tree herder has, I think, 9 attacks, because I think the Wiltfather is the 10th, right? So, but has a lead, right? So hits on a 3, gets like 6 or 7 hits, let's say, and then wounds on a 2, so 6 wounds, let's say. I'm a 14-18. Or 14-16, and that's it. There is 1 point of damage due to the Cloak of Death, so +1 on that, so 7 wounds sunk, right? But that's a 7 to waver me. It's a 9 to kill, and my opponent just rolls 10+ twice and kills me in one go, and I'm like, all right. Thankfully, the Wiltfather does not manage to seal the deal. Actually rolls a little below average here, sinking only 4 wounds on me, because this unit was at 1 wound and then took another one due to Cloak of Death and then only sunk 4. So I'm okay with this. I would prefer, obviously, if both my Reapers were alive here, but as long as they're not both wavered, I think I'll just I'll take the gift that I'm getting here. I'm -1 unit, but they're not. I still get to attack, so it's fine. So anyway, that's how that goes. A big thing here, my opponent doesn't just roll well the entire round. The horde of Forest Guard here do go for the combat here. The Bane Chant failed, and then they do pretty well in the combat, but still, even rolling well, I'm a -15, and they just can't roll the 6 to kill me, and my opponent's like, wow, I really thought I'd get that, and I'm like, I don't know, on the dice of it, you probably pick them up, but I'm inspired by this dragon. Maybe it's a 6, maybe it's a 7 to pick me up. Not the best odds. So at the minimum dice, it's just not that great. So anyway, I've got that going for me. The dragon walks right through that butcher regiment. Actually rolls not very well in the hit and wound, but then nerve checks out the wazoo. So kills them off, and of course the doppelgangers get taken down. That is to be expected. So with that, we move into turn 3 for Nightstalkers. So turn 3 Nightstalkers, I take one of my planar apparitions and I go into this unit of Cav. My opponent, in the previous picture, actually let's roll one back. This unit got changed a little bit just because when we were looking at it, it's like, it's not good enough. So my opponent repositions to be like this. I'm like, well, if I charge with my planar apparition here, it's pretty clear that I cannot be seen by the Forest Warden, so I'm like, I'll take it. If I sink 1 wound, and I do have 4 attacks hitting on a 3, and then I have Crush 1, so 4 attacks on 3s and 4s, I need to sink 1 wound, and I knock off their Thunderous, and they probably don't do much to me after that, because they've got 16 attacks, hitting on 4s due to my ensnare, wounding on 3s. I mean, they'll do wounds, right? But I should be able to hold off for a turn or two. And that's the idea. But keep in mind, last week, this cav unit just wiped the floor with me. And while they didn't need to against the doppelgangers, they did roll insane. So, we'll see. Other things, I take both my Mind Screeches, and, you know, just like I told Josh Rosado at Masters, Mind Screeches are combat units. So I take them and I charge into the archers. This is just because I have a flank on this one, so there's I still have a lightning bolt available to me, but this hides it from the dragon, or hides them from the dragon. I didn't have any other targets because I think this wizard is the mage is still hiding behind the woods. So there aren't great targets to hit with a lightning bolt 6. Even a lightning bolt 12. So I'd prefer to have the 15 attacks on 4s as opposed to the 12 attacks on 4s with Pierce 1. So that's the idea. And over here, yep, I take the butchers into the front. I take a void lurker into the rear because, you know, if you've got a rear with the dragon, you take it. And over here, the Reaper, well, I think I charged the Butchers first. I charged whichever one. I think it's the Butchers, though. So I send the Butchers in first into this flank of the Weltfather, and then I've got Reapers in the front. That is not a pretty sight, especially as, again, these are still vicious, and I still have a Bane Chant to cast. And yeah, these Scarecrows go in. They're like, how dare you, archers, looking to sink a couple of wounds. If I get a waiver here, that would be huge, because, again, I'm just looking to hold these guys off for as many turns as I can. So here is the end of turn shot. I do manage to get the Bane Chant onto this unit. I've moved my individual behind the planar apparition. It looks like it's the dragon will flank charge it, but it's just exactly in my front. So if it wants to charge in, it charges into the front of the planar apparition, but it's in the flank of my character, so it cannot charge it because I've gone base to base. This is something that that people need to learn while you're playing with individuals, is that flyers can just charge you if you leave any amount of room between you and a base. But there is a special rule in the game which states if you are flush with another unit's base, they cannot do that because Infinitesimal says they can, right? There's a difference or the space between two lines is infinitesimally small. You can do it no matter what. So there's a special rule that states you cannot if you are flush. So just do this and the dragon can't charge you. So with that, I do pretty well this turn. I managed to kill off the Wiltfather. That's big. I managed to kill off the Horde of Forest Guard. That's huge. I do manage the 1 wound onto this cav. So I don't do anything to these archers. I do a couple wounds. It's not nothing, but I don't get a waiver on them. It's still pretty hard to take down elven archers. They might be garbage archers. Fucking garbage, but there's still a pretty good unit. I don't think anyone's arguing against that. There's still def 4. They've got high nerve for what they are, and they're melee 5+, so just a solid unit. But that is where we end. I do manage to, after I kill off the Forest Guard, I have to position my units pretty carefully. I position the Void Lurker and then the Butcher Regiment to block a dragon charge. So the Butchers are not in line of sight of the dragon, so it cannot charge them. And then the Void Lurker, the dragon has to charge in the front of it, and there's just no way to land because, again, I've got a corner charge if it wants that. So it's impossible for the... No, it's not impossible for the dragon to charge me. I'm pretty sure it can. Oh, it's impossible to get a double charge. That's why. Because this corner is impossible to land on. So only one of these dangerous units, either the Tree Herder or the dragon, can charge me. Obviously, a little guy can charge me, the Forest Warden, but that would just be a grounding strategy, and I'm okay with that. The Butchers are pretty damaged right now, so if the Tree Herder charges them, it's probably lights out, but there's nothing I can do about it. I do go for some heals, but I heal the Reapers, obviously. I don't get a full heal, but I heal pretty decently. And just because the Reapers are more important than these Butchers, because the Tree Herder could just one-shot them anyway. And I wasn't sure at the time that I could rotate out of the Dragon's Arc while I was casting heal. So anyway, that's how it ends up, and we move on to turn 4. So turn 4 for the Sylvan Kin, they are running out of units, but this is really when they start to shine once my army has engaged, and these very, very nimble units, which tend to survive the game, are like the Dragon, the Cav, are starting to close in and can just wipe a unit out each turn. So we'll see about that. The archers here charge into the scarecrows, looking to finish them off. Again, I'm at 6 wounds. I'm at dash 14. 1 wound is dangerous to me. That's not great. That's a 55% chance to kill me. Yikes. Then we have my opponent does go for the risk aversion play here. So we have the Forest Warden going into the Void Lurker, just looking to ground it, and then the Tree Herder going into my regiment of butchers, looking to kill them off pretty quickly. Now, if they don't kill the butchers, this Tree Herder's just picked up. I'm well within 12 inches to get a charge with one of these two, and I will kill that Tree Herder. The rest of my opponent's army backs up to just be out of 12. That is the magic number for Nightstalkers. For the foot Nightstalkers, right? So just be out of 12. The dragon nor the hunters can be charged. I could send, I guess, this guy, but these two cannot get anywhere. And then the knights decide to countercharge. It looks like I did 1 wound. So the knights decide to countercharge into my planar apparition, hoping that they won't continue doing what they do. So, nah. And then these archers countercharge against the wounded Mind Screech. I do have 2 wounds on me, remember, from the Dragon's Breath. So, otherwise, it's probably better to charge the one in the flank and then go for another breath here. But, yeah, just go for the kill if you can get it. So, and then the wizard moves over here. I think it's going for lightning bolts. What would it be lightning bolting? I don't know. Is it healing? I'm not sure what the wizard is doing right here, but it's got lightning bolt and heal, so it's lightning bolt and something. And with that, yeah. So my opponent goes in here, 3 hits, 3 wounds, and I'm like, oof, that's bad for me. But I have regen, so whatever. 1 hit or 3 hits, it doesn't really matter. And boxcars the waiver. And I'd like to take a second here to say, yeah, one of the things that can really get me in a game, you can see the wizard is moved. Must have moved over here to lightning bolt. But one of the things I'm bad at in games is that professionally I am an editor, meaning that I can be hypercritical of things. So when this waiver hit, I was pretty upset. I mean, we're all a little high strung these days, but I was sitting here and I just went on an epic tirade about how much I hate the waiver mechanic in this game. I don't hate it. I really don't. What I don't particularly like, though, is that armies like Undead, Empire Dust, Forces of Nature, Salamanders now are significantly more powerful just because they're fearless. Fearless is the best rule in the game. Anyone that is, a top-end player will tell you that. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, this is why, if I get boxcard right here, I'm like, well, I lose the game, right? How do I come back from this? If I was just playing Undead, I'd be playing a dragon just as cheap, almost as powerful, and I'm fearless, right? So I think that's what people are talking about when they're like, nerf Undead, but I don't know. It's a hard thing to do, but really I just wanted to mention that I got a little butthurt here, and I apologize to my opponent after the game, obviously, but yeah, this hurts a lot. Eating that waiver is just so brutal. And here we go with the end of turn shot. The butchers here are wiped out. My opponent lands a second waiver. Actually, again, pretty lucky. I only have 3 wounds on me. Just rolls a 10. So boxcar 10, and I'm like, okay. My planar apparition, just picked up in one go. So this unit, they do have 16 attacks with elite, right? Like, I'm not super sold on me surviving, but still, 16 attacks with elite, that's like 7 or 8 hits, right? And then wounding me on a 3, that's like 5 to 6 wounds, let's say like 4 to 7 for the gamut right there. That's not great. I'm a 13-15 rerollable, and it just picks them up. So at the end of the game, at the end of this turn, I was feeling a little defeated because that was an insane nerve roll. This was 9 into 9. This was 9 into 9. I already got boxcar into a 9, but and then I got 9 here or 10 here, and then I got boxcard here, and I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do against these nerve checks? And it's just one of the it's not like this is in every game or anything like that. It's just really frustrating where I'm just like, I should just be playing Undead. And I'm not trying to say like Undead is overpowered. I'm just saying I should just be playing a fearless army, right? I should be playing Salamanders or Undead or Empire Dust or anything like that, because you get to remove this huge part of the game. And it was the same thing in Warhammer, and I guess it's just something that bugs me a little bit about games in general. It was the same thing in War Machine, on that level where, I played Crix in War Machine, and you had fearless units and you had non-fearless units, and you're like, well, if the fearless units are just as good as the non-fearless ones, then what's the point of the living ones, right? Like, why would I run this? It's a free rule. So, anyway, enough about that. It was definitely a big blow this turn, but my opponent is playing from behind, so it made it a lot tighter. And here we go with the Nightstalkers turn 4. Not a lot for us to do. Because my opponent backed up and then killed or wavered, or wavered everything that I could do something with. So I get the one flank charge into the archers, I get to charge the other archers, and then everything else gets to just move. I cast heal with my planar apparition. I think I healed up these butchers was the plan. Everything here has. Oh, I've had 2 wounds on me. I've had 1 wound on me the whole game. I've got regen 4+. I have not succeeded at it yet. So failed. It must be 3 because it's when the Weltfather came in. So yeah, I failed quite a few there. I do pass 1 of the regens here, so I'm only down to 2 wounds. So hopefully I can do something with that. And I do end up getting a waiver onto these archers. That's really nice. They're pretty high in the wounds, but I'll take the waiver. And then over here, I do hurt the archers, but I'm like, I have 7 wounds on me right now. I don't get a waiver, and I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to pick me up pretty easily. But with that, we move on to turn 5. So turn 5 for the Sylvan Kin. They are now in the fight. I do manage, again, I did heal these guys, so they are at full health right now. They are undamaged, so I've got that going for me. But yeah, the Cav go into my Reapers. On the hill, the Hunters of the Wild take a hinder charge into my wounded Mind Screech, because I couldn't do anything about it. And then the Dragon plus the Forest Warden go into my wounded Void Lurker. It only has 2 wounds on me, or I only have 2 wounds on me, so I'm not super worried about it. Like, the Dragon sinks like 7 wounds on me on average, and then I've got the Forest Warden for another 2. So it's 9 wounds, 11, that's an 8 twice to kill me. Meh. But anyway, yeah, I do turn this Butcher Horde. I'm not sure this was the right idea. I could obviously tell that this was going to be charged, so I probably over-rotated with this unit. But yeah, just a mistake. And yeah, let's see the end of turn. So first off, my opponent decides to fight me here, and then rolls, I think I'm at 8 wounds now, and then rolls a 3 to not break them. So I'm like, okay, at least I've got this zombie fight, this weird zombie fight over, or not zombie, but scarecrow fight over here. At least I've got that going for me. In the middle, yeah, I think that's just a picture of the combat. You can see the wizard back here. It's going to heal the dragons 2 wounds off of him. And then, oh no, I'm sorry, a double 1. My opponent gets me up to 11 wounds, right? Not 8, yeah, 11. So I'm a dash 14. That's a 3 to kill. And my opponent rolls the double 1. So I'm like, well, you got the boxcar, I guess. Because it's time for a double 1. But yeah, gets a double 1 on my scarecrows. It doesn't really matter because you can see back here, the archers are only at 5 wounds. I'm very unlikely to be able to one-shot them, and even if I do, there is a wizard with lightning bolt that can easily finish me off. So, still funny though. And here is the end of the turn. Both the dragon and the forest warden go into my my void lurker. They do get another waiver, by the way. It's not marked, but boy, was I happy about that. I'm like, cool. My dragon gets wavered for 2 turns. The Mind Screech here, my opponent doesn't roll too well, but again, this was a hinder charge, so it's 15 attacks on 4s, and then has no piercing. So 4s and 4s, that's not the best odds for a unit that only has 3 wounds on it. So, I think they do 3 or 4 wounds to me, and then only roll the waiver. So that I've got that going for me. The wavered archers just turn to face off against my Mind Screech there. And then, thankfully, these Cav go into my Reapers. They roll insane because this is the best Cav unit that's ever existed. It's also unhindered because you charge with the dragon and such second, right? So they can see this unit, then they go around and then pivot in, right? So they didn't hit this wall at all. They do 10 wounds to me, I want to say. That's pretty good with 16 attacks, right? Like, it's not, it's not above average, right? That's just a good roll there. But thankfully, Thankfully here, they roll a 3 on their nerve, so I'm still good to go. So yeah, double 1 here, 3 here, but then, you know, just making up for last turn's boxcar and to a waiver. But still, things are not over yet because the Void Liquor is in fact wavered, as is this Mind Screech. So we got that, and we go into turn 5 for the Nightstalkers. So turn 5 Nightstalkers, I have all the charges going on. So this unit of Cav have 1 damage on them right now. I'm not sure what I did that with. Probably a Mind Screech at some point. Oh no, I did it with the planar apparition, right? So I get a dual charge because the Butchers are taller. So I slide the Reapers over and then slide the Butchers. Unfortunately, because this hill is so weird, I don't know. I like this hill a lot, but it's not particularly useful for Kings of War in 3rd Ed, right? Because 3rd Ed is all about having the majority of your unit on the hill so you can charge down it and gain that Thunder 1 rule. So, yeah. Anyway, neither of my units are actually on the hill. The Reapers might have been, but they are disordered, so they don't have Thunders anyway. But these Butchers were not and cannot be with you know the way that this hill was wavy a little bit. But that double charge is still really good. Again, I do have a Bane Chant plus a Vicious there, plus I have Dread. So, you know, I'm not saying the Cav are dead, but, you know, the Cav are probably dead. I move this Mind Screech around because there's no reason to charge the archers now, because I'm just going to fly over here and Lightning Bolt 6. It's significantly better than my 5 attacks to the front. So just going to go around there. The wavered unit here doesn't even back up because there's no reason to give the hunters more distance. Actually, well, maybe I should have backed up an inch because I want the hunters on my opponent's side of the field at the end of the game. I don't know. Maybe I decided that it didn't matter. Maybe the line, they're already a majority on that side, but I don't know. I think that backing up would have been helpful, but there's still maybe another turn after that. So anyway, I just sit here with the planar apparition. I actually back up in the end, but again, I was a little butthurt about this unit, so I just didn't even want to touch it. But I do back up 1 inch to make sure that this dragon doesn't just flank charge me, because that's what it does. Or that's what it would do otherwise, because of its positioning. Although its positioning is wrong. Is it because it's because the Butchers were right here, right? Yeah. Okay. So I just back up an inch to keep them both in my front. And then I move the planar apparition to cast heal. I heal the dragon up so it has no wounds on it. And just go, I hope you can tank another one and hope you don't get wavered. So let's see how the turn goes. First off, these the mighty scarecrows go into, I think it's just showing them fighting the archers. And here we go. I do manage the Bane Chant. And then I managed to heal here. So I was at quite a few wounds. They didn't roll terribly well to hit or wound. It's all nerve checks here in this game. But I do manage between the regen of the dragon and the heal of the planar apparition. I think it was at 7 wounds to clean them all up. And just showing off the 0 wounds. And over here, I go for the lightning bolt. I manage a few wounds as well. I think I actually managed 4 there, so that's really good. The blue leader back here, due to the blue spikes, this is yellow leader. Blue leader back here has been doing all the work. Yellow leader has done nothing. Has done fat bubkiss for hits and wounds. Everything's come from this guy. So that's the good Mind Screech. The other one's a bad one. Just keep that in mind. And here we go. Yep, I do 23 wounds to the Cav, and, I just get a hot double 1. So I don't know who said it. If you can't win the game after rolling a double 1, you don't deserve to win the game, which is complete fucking nonsense. But this is a really bad double 1 after getting boxcard earlier. I have more units, right? But my opponent is catching up on tempo just because of these hot rolls. So getting that boxcar and then this, or the double turn, I shouldn't say the boxcar, the double turn of waiver on my Void Lurker and then me getting a double 1 here is going to cost me. It looks like it's going to cost me 2 units, or at least give my opponent 2 units, right? So it's giving them this unit back, and then it's giving them whatever the Void Lurker might have killed at this point back. So, you get them sometimes, or in my case, all the time. But let's fight on with turn 6. So turn 6 for the Sylvan Kin. Things are getting really exciting now. First off, we have Devastated, and Devastated can't be lifted here, as opposed to every other time Devastated is on the table. So at least the Cav can't remove Devastated. World's best rule. So they take the charge onto my Reapers. It won't really matter, though, because my Reapers have 10 wounds on them, and this unit hits on 3s with Elite and wounds on 4s. So yep, that's not great. Then we have the recharge, or I guess remain engaged against the Mind Screech there, just to try to kill it off. These archers fiddle about for a bit to see whether they can get across the center line on this turn. They can't, even if we move this unit, we see all sorts of stuff that it's not possible. So instead they just turn, as you can see, to on turn 7 get across the line if there is one. And then we get a recharge with the dragon's not here. It's where my proxy base is. But the dragon and the Forest Warden re-engage on my now clean of wounds Void Lurker that's still wavered. And that's going to be... Well, there's one other charge over here on the left, which is those Mighty Archers who... Actually, I forgot to mention this. They got wavered during my turn. So I might have double won this. But I did waver those Archers. But we've got a wizard back here to just turn around and lightning bolt, so we'll see about that. Yep, just showing off. Here we go, lightning bolting me with my own models. And yeah, does a couple wounds, does 3 wounds, rolls the 9 to kill me, and bop, they are gone. So, wasn't even killed by the archers in the end. Was killed by a random lightning bolt. Shame. And here we go at the end of turn. First off, my Void Lurker. I know you guys want to know. No, it is not wavered. I did it. We did it, gang. We managed to not be wavered. So, yeah, I'll be able to fight something next turn. It's not the best fight, though, so we'll have to see about that, or see what I do. The Cav here, yep, they get to delete my Reapers due to that double 1. Yeah. Oof. Anyway, not gonna go on a mini tirade about how bad of a rule Devastated is again. So they turn to face off against my Reapers, which is fair enough. The Hunters of the Wild managed to kill off my Mind Screech. Yeah, that's to be expected. And then the Archers do 0 hits to my Mind Screech over here to Blue Leader, because Blue Leader is best leader. Just sits it out. And with that, we go into turn 6 for the Nightstalkers. So turn 6, Nightstalkers. I'm going for a bit of a riskier play, because I have to. The Void Lurker could charge either of these units, right? So, probably go into the... I would probably choose to go into the Forest Warden. I have 10 attacks, but I lose a Thunder, so 10 attacks on 3s to hit, and then 3s to wound, and I also have Brutal, which doesn't matter because I have Dread right here. So I could kill this off, right? It's not unreasonable, but if I try to do that and I fail, I'll get flank charged by a dragon and die. Or if I charge the dragon, I'm not going to kill that. I'd probably be looking at that boxcar again to get a waiver on it, and then this will charge me in the flank on a turn 7. There's just no reason to do that because this is one of my scoring units. So instead, I back up again 1 inch to keep them both in my front arc, and then I'm going to go for the heal instead. But I do angle it so because I have to kill this Cav unit for sure. So I've put my Mind Screech right here. It is height 5, even though it's a little bit of a shorty. I should have moved it over here so it's firing over these height 2 units instead of my butchers. But when I took the shot, I forgot to move it. I just turned it towards the Cav instead of doing that thing. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go for a Lightning Bolt 6 here. I just need 1 wound to hit the Cav and get the not double 1 kill. And to back that up, I also have a Mind Fog 2 just in case, right? And then I move the little priest here to go for a Bane Chant because this is a Def 5 unit, only Crush 2. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a Bane Chant. Vicious doesn't matter anymore because all my infantry are dead. So anyway, that is it. So let's see how it all turns out. First off, the Mind Screech going Blue Leader, going for Lightning Bolt. Yeah, Blue Leader hits with 4 Lightning Bolt, by the way. Only manages the 1 wound, but hits 4 times, and then, yeah, doesn't roll a double 1, kills off the Cav. Good job, Blue Leader. You're the best. And over here, cool. So I get the Hunters of the Wild up to 12 wounds, and I roll a 3. So this was a 4+ to kill. There is no Inspire because this is more than 6 inches away, and I get a 3. So some hot nerve checks on the Nightstalker side. I guess they're just not as spooky as they are when you field them under the bright desert sun. Just not a spooky army. So anyway, I do get a waiver, so that's good, but I definitely needed a kill. And with that, we roll off, and yeah, we get that turn 7. So here we go, turn 7. First off, we've got these archers now free of those stupid scarecrows. Decided to just run across the finish line. They are now fully in my side of the field, so that's going to be 2 unit strength there. Then we've got the Hunters of the Wild are just going to sit engaged with me. There's no reason not to. There's no shooting to go on. You're not going to go after these guys. They only have 1 wound on them, and they're Fearless 18, so who cares? And they are definitely inspired by my opponent's dragon. The Forest Warden just pivots twice due to Nimble and runs backwards. Again, I would have preferred to remain engaged, but if I did that, it's a flank charge. So yeah, this guy just runs off, so that is another unit strength, and then the Hunters are in my side already, or a majority is. So that's 3, and then these archers also manage it across the center line, so that's another 2. So my opponent is currently at 8 unit strength, right? To my 1, 2, 3, and then 6. So I only have 6, right? So 6 to 8. My opponent has a few things to shoot at, and if this hadn't gone to turn 7, the archers are not in, the other archers are not in, so my opponent, and the dragon isn't, so my opponent would just have 3, and I would have 3, 4, 5, 6, so I have way more, right? But there's a turn 7, so instead we're going to see if the Sylvan Kin can clinch it. They've been fighting tooth and nail this entire game, so I wouldn't be too upset if they did. They've got gumption, right? The wizard back here, this planar apparition, this is the one that's had 1 wound the entire game. It still has 1 wound, in case you're wondering. And this guy goes for a bit of a lightning bolt. It's only lightning bolt 5, but it's elite lightning bolt 5, and it has a full reroll as well. So it's just going for a lucky waiver to limit my options, because this is a rear charge and you don't want it, even a planar apparition. They're deadlier than people might realize. That with a rear charge, that's going to be 12 attacks on 3s with Dread and Crush 1. Yeah, I like those odds, and I have a Bane Chant, so just going for the lightning bolt there. And that's going to be about, and the dragon charges into my Void Lurker, because why not? Strip that Thunderous and my ability to charge around you. And here we go. Yeah, my opponent sinks 4 wounds with the Lightning Bolt. That's pretty good, but Lightning Bolt's really good at dealing with planar apparitions. They're only def 3, it ignores the stealthy, so pretty good. Does get the waiver, that's an 8 in case you're counting. So another pretty high roll for my opponent on that nerve. And here we go with the end of turn shot for Sylvan Kin turn 7. The planar apparition, again, is not wavered, so I can, or is this the first time it's not wavered? Yeah. No, I was unwavered last turn. I just couldn't do anything because I would get flanked. Yeah. So I'm not wavered now, and there are no flanks, so I finally get to fight. Yeah, so that's going to be turn 7. Again, my opponent has 8 unit strength, and I have 6, so I have to kill something this turn, or I lose. And I did get these planar apparition wavered, so my options are pretty limited. And with that, we go into Nightstalkers turn 7. So Nightstalkers turn 7. I do take the Butchers into the front of the Hunters of the Wild. I have to get this kill. So originally I was like, okay, so I'm just going to go for the Lightning Bolt, because if I charge the Hunters, I'm actually on my side of the board. So I have to kill the Hunters and then side saddle a 3+, right? So I need the 2 inches to get over there. But if I kill the Hunters and I kill these Archers, because I've got a Lightning Bolt here, my opponent loses 5 unit strength on their side of the field and is down to 3, and I would still have 1, 2, 3, so it'd get a draw, right? Because of this waiver is actually really big, because it makes it so I can't just, pick this guy up really easily, or pick up the dragon. Well, the dragon doesn't matter, but it makes it so I can't pick this up. So I decide to go big, because I'm like, well, I could go for the Lightning Bolt and then just push these guys over, right? So I'm at 6, but I have to have I have Lightning Bolt 6. It needs to land a wound here. And if I do it this way, where I go for the 3+ instead, I'm going for I'm going for a tie if I kill both these. I don't know. It was late, and I was like, I refuse. I refuse to play for the tie, and I don't. Blue leader's really good. Maybe I should have just rested on blue leader here. Yeah, it's only one. I only need one wound to get that not double one kill. So that probably would have been better. But it's not what I go for. I go for the charge instead. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go into the charge to the front here, and I'm going to go for the lightning bolt there. Yeah, so I do land the lightning bolt here. I land one wound, I want to say, on these guys, and kill them. I do manage to kill this. I roll the 3+ and get over there, so I've already won. And then I roll the dragon fight. I do, I think, like 2 wounds, 3 wounds to the dragon. It's whatever number, but it's the end of 7, so there's no possible turn. So the dragon's left alive. That leaves me with 6 unit strength to my opponent's 3 unit strength because these 2 are dead. So it is a Nightstalker victory. I feel pretty good about that one, except for maybe how I acted when I got Boxcar wavered. I didn't, I made a big deal about it. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's just, again, it's not that big of a deal. You don't need to get mad about it. But anyway, yeah, this ends up being a pretty big win. It was a very tight game for what it was. Granted, a lot of that was due to hugely swingy nerve checks on both sides, where I was rolling 1s and my opponent was rolling 6s. But that's not really that. I mean, it was a big deal, but it made the game a lot more exciting, right? So this is a game I'll probably remember for a while. I don't know. I don't know if this is a good feeling or a negative play experience to sit there and go like, because of, a waiver here and a waiver here and another waiver here and some other waivers, right? And some lucky kills. I'm sitting here because let's see. I got my opponent got the lucky waiver on those doppelgangers, then got a double lucky waiver on the void lurker, got a lucky waiver here. And I know that I haven't discussed what I got, which is I rolled pretty well throughout this game, but I rolled a couple double one. I rolled one double one, but I rolled a double one. My opponent rolled a double one. Didn't matter, right? But I got a very important double one, and then I got that 3. I got some other pretty meh rolls, but because of that, we ended up with a very interesting game. And so I'm not sure whether if you're judging it off of this game. Like this game is a competitive game, right? So it's about balance. I would say that the difference between being able to be wavered and not be wavered is not the best play experience, especially because, and I will say this in full earnest, I am not confused about this. The double one rule sucks. Devastated sucks. It should just be you are wavered, period, end of story. Doesn't matter if you are it doesn't matter if you're fearless. If you roll double one and you're, you needed double ones, right, to not kill them, the unit is wavered. You already get enough out of that. You don't need to also be able to fight with the unit. Anyway, but besides that, I'm not sure whether it's actually negative to have these really, having these really exciting moments. It's negative from a competitive point of view, which is to say balance, right? But it's not negative from a game point of view, right? So yeah, I mean, I like it and I don't like it. It just really depends on the mood you're in, right? And how many times it happens. But yeah, I enjoyed this game despite maybe, what you guys might think from this review. Just got me thinking about, how double ones work. Or how, not double ones, but how waiver works, and the fact that so much of the game now, or what a lot of the power units in the game and third ed are fearless, right? The same in second, but with salamanders are a great example of how did they suddenly become one of these very powerful armies? Well, a bunch of their units are fearless now, so meh. I mean, a lot of other things happened, but they're also fearless. So anyway, that is it. Enough rambling. I hope you guys like the game. And again, the Emerald Dragon GT will be happening August 21st through the 23rd, or whatever that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And lists are due by the 7th, which I believe is a Saturday. There will be more info online. They're 2,300 point lists. Locked lists, what you'd expect from a tournament. There are special characters. You'll have to choose one. They're all bonkers. You might be going like, wow, you didn't playtest these. And I'll be like, I didn't. Welcome to the zone. So I hope to see you all there. And until next time, bye.